Interestingly enough, in the wake of what is happening in Minneapolis, you have a lot of people, a lot of what I would call weak Republicans who called themselves MAGA, who voted for President Trump, who even would say that they voted for President Trump because they wanted mass deportations, because they wanted all of these illegals out of our country to stop draining our resources and, violently assaulting and raping our women and children. They voted for this, and now all of a sudden they're saying to themselves, oh, this feels too mean. Oh, this feels too icky. Never mind. We don't want ICE. We want deportations, but not like that. It's been very interesting to watch these Republicans all of a sudden turn on the agenda that they seemingly voted for a little over a year ago. And I wanted to speak to my friend, Jaco Posobiec. He is, of course, host of Human Events, and just get his take on the matter because Jack, welcome to the show, by the way.
What up, Sarah?
Feel like it's good to see you. It's been a while. I feel like these situations, obviously, they're always unfortunate, right? Obviously, the chaos and the confusion, and anytime a human life is lost, it's totally unfortunate. But imagine that you're an ICE officer and you have an entire city who is out to get you. They've created these chats to monitor you, to follow you, to harass you, to intimidate you, to obstruct you from doing your job. And at a certain point, they're going to have a split second. They see this guy's actions. How can we be surprised that this happened?
Well, Sarah, I think it also helps to kind of zoom out and look at the context in so many of these situations. Tim Walz, who's the governor of Minnesota, he could right now issue an executive order saying that he wants the state police and the local police to work with ICE and that they would be able to go out and provide security. They'd be able to provide some help for dealing with this on the ground. But that's not what he's done. No, Tim Walz has sent out the National Guard to go give milk and cookies and donuts to the agitators that are out there at the Whipple Center. He's actually taking sides against ICE. And furthermore, when you look at some of these tactics, they say, gosh, this reminds me of the Red Guards of the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese Cultural Revolution in the 1960s. And it occurs to me that, didn't Tim Walz go to China 30 times, including lying about being there during Tiananmen Square? So you wonder why it looks like a Chinese communist insurgency. Oh, right. That's exactly where Tim Walz learned how to do this stuff. These guys are operational. They are trained. We at Human Events have had teams on the ground there for weeks at this point, braving the agitators, going undercover, infiltrating them, and finding out what they're up to. These signal chats are absolutely organized to create swarms, and they have holding centers and spotters they have Antifa spotters on every single city block of the entire metropolitan area of both cities, right? Minneapolis and St. Paul. So they're organized in ways, people are telling me this is more heavily organized than Portland, more heavily organized than Chaz, than anything that we've seen before. We're dealing with a domestic Marxist insurgency. And so for these individuals, what do the Marxists do? What do the communists do? They use them as a martyr, these useful idiots, because they want to create the crisis, because then they can use the crisis to destabilize the actual party in power or the government that's in power because they want to take power themselves. This is a tried and true communist tactic. And I agree with you. I feel sick to my stomach that there are so many people who purportedly are, quote unquote, on our side that are totally falling for it.
Yeah, it's difficult to watch, especially when you see Bernie Sanders out over the weekend. I don't even know that a couple of hours had even passed before this guy died and he was out there tweeting. And I'm like, I notice that these people that you're talking about, these communists that you're talking about who want these color revolutions, they're constantly posting from their ivory towers to allow their foot soldiers, their useful idiots, as you called them, to go out and do the dirty work, to go out and put their lives in harm's way, thinking that they're doing something. And so it's just really been really disgusting to watch them do all of this, knowing that they're safe. They don't have to deal with it. They'll just let these useful idiots take the bullets for them. So I want to ask you this too. I have seen a lot of people on the right who have said, oh, you must not believe in the First Amendment or the Second Amendment if you don't see the problem with this. And I'm like, how are we living in the same universe? This isn't about the First or the Second Amendments at all, Jack.
No. No, it's not. If you want to talk about the First Amendment, was this guy standing on the side of the road? Was he chanting? I've been out there in Minneapolis for a couple of these when it first started. Is he out there chanting? Is he holding a sign? Is he conducting First Amendment activity? No, he's in the road conducting an illegal armed roadblock. He's participating in a criminal conspiracy with these anti-ICE Antifa chats that he's going out there working to disrupt operations. This is not someone who's exercising his First Amendment right. That's number one. Then number two, yes, the Second Amendment does give you a right to bear arms. However, you also have something called responsibility. You still have a responsibility to do so within the confines of the law. It is irresponsible to take firearms like that into a situation like that, then to get into a fight with federal police officers, then to try to resist arrest after they work to arrest you. And then at some point, you're going to turn around and you have people saying, oh, it was self-defense. Oh, it's just the Second Amendment. No. First of all, he didn't even go out with his carry permit or with his ID. And let me tell you something, as someone who concealed carries, I make sure to know that whenever, it's actually right here in my pocket, in my wallet, that if I'm concealed carry, I've got my ID, I've got my wallet, I've got it all on me. That tells me that this guy was out there looking for trouble when he didn't bring those with him. But of course, you'll hear all these people say, oh no, they just completely remove all the context, the entire situation. And I agree, there's been some statements talking about protests and et cetera, talking about it. It's guys, zoom in. All right, you got to lock in. We have to lock in. This is the fight for Western civilization. The Battle of Minneapolis is the front lines for this. And it's really simple. Are you on the side of civilization or are you on the side of the barbarism? Because that's really what this comes down to. We're not playing these little games right now. We know what the situation is, and deep down, so do all of you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Spot on. I see what's happening. Did you see the video of the ICE agent who his hand was all bloodied and he was outside the hotel and he was calling for backup and no backup was coming? So they're getting bloodied on the streets. You had some lunatic that bit off an agent's finger. By the way, he's losing the finger. President Trump shared this really disgusting image of that. And so at this point, I'm thinking to myself, any ICE agent on the streets,
it's actual really barbarism. This is unhuman activity. I wrote the book last year about this, and they got so mad at me for using that word. And I said, well, what else would you call this? What else would you call this? You have completely disabused yourself of your humanity when you treat a fellow person like this. When you treat, I think it was Bureau of Prisons was the agent last night, literally standing in the breach, calling for backup, and Tim Walz could have sent the police, could have sent the National Guard, could have sent anyone to go help him. Nothing was sent. And so that guy, I believe he has a Give, Send, Go up, and I'm certainly going to be promoting it because these are the type of heroes. Right. These are heroes not just for the United States or for Trump or anything. No, we're talking about Western civilization. Do we deserve to continue, or are we going to play these recrimination games over and over until the Marxists start shoving us all into the mass graves?
Yeah, and especially when you consider their reaction to Charlie's assassination, their reaction to Charlie getting a bullet in the neck, and they were dancing, partying, celebrating, and oh, I'm sorry, now all of a sudden you're very offended by some guy who provoked ICE agents. Like, I just don't buy it. It's gone too far. They've gone too far with all of this. And so, Jack, at this point, if you're an ICE officer on the streets of Minneapolis, and you see all of the threats coming towards you day in and day out, and you see all of this coordinated effort behind the scenes to try to get at them. Me personally, I think if there's any shooting that happens with ICE, obviously each individual incident needs to be dealt with accordingly. But if I'm an ICE agent on the streets of Minneapolis, I feel like I have a reasonable suspicion if a civilian approaches me, I'm already in fear for my life. And that's not because I'm being unreasonable. It's because I'm under attack.
Yeah, look, it's very simple. It is irresponsible to interfere with police officers conducting lawful operations. And number one, it's just irresponsible to begin with. And it's the height of irresponsibility to do so while carrying a lethal weapon. Yes. Every concealed carry course that you take, if anyone's ever taken one, you know what that means. You know that if you're carrying a firearm into a situation, you are changing that situation. You are changing everyone's reactions into that situation. And it's really simple. Like when I go to these courses, it's, if you get pulled over, you got a gun in the car. Hey, it's 10 and 2. Officer, just so you know, it's in the glove box. It's wherever it is. Yep. I just want to let you know that that's what you do. Because guess what, boys and girls? We live in the real world. And in the real world, if you're doing something that makes that officer unsafe, you're going to have a bad day. And what this guy did was willful, it was deliberate, and it sickens me that I hear people wanting to make excuses for him as if he was some kind of He's a 37-year-old man, by the way. And his parents warned him not to do this. They said, stop getting involved with this, stop engaging Alex, because they knew that he was a hothead, and that's exactly what he did. He has personal responsibility, the same responsibility that all of us have. The only person he has to blame is himself.
Yeah. Well, people on the internet are like, he was an ICU nurse. It's like, okay, that doesn't change any of the circumstances with this incident. It's just total gaslighting and manipulation. All right, last question for you, Jack. If you were advising President Trump on what to do next and how to handle this, what would you say? Because I've actually been surprised that we haven't sent the National Guard to just quell this situation already.
So I actually think that I'm not at the point yet where I think the Insurrection Act is necessary, because we just haven't seen the level of violence yet, but it's certainly on the table. I think what they're doing now with surging resources, getting Tom Homan out, working with Secretary Noem, working with the incredible Commander Povino, who's out there. Look, zoom out. We are seeing the largest deployment of federal agents to a city for immigration enforcement in U.S. history. This is the largest ever. We've never seen anything like that. Why? Because we're dealing with an unprecedented situation that was created by Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and so many others. And so I say stay the course, do not back down, double down.
Yeah, I completely agree. Thank you so much, my friend. Your insights are always invaluable. Jack Posobiec, also known as Poso, over there, host of Human Events. Yeah, thanks. Talk soon.